Hi, my name's John Legansky, and I was raised hunting whitetail deer in Illinois with my brother Jake. Between Jake and I, we have about 40 years of hunting experience, and over the last decade in particular, it seems like every year we get asked by a handful more people, usually urban dwellers like ourselves, if we'll take them hunting. There are more and more people that seem to want to get into it, and yet the total number of hunters in the US just continues to decline. And every year the population grows, and we as humans take up slowly but surely a little bit more of the natural environment and the habitat where deer and all the other wildlife live. You know, most people don't know it, but the way that conservation efforts are funded in the US is primarily through hunters and fishermen. That makes outdoorsmen the biggest conservationists of all. So we really need more of them. And there is an ongoing effort, both on the state and federal, as well as private levels, to recruit more hunters. But it's just not working at a fast enough rate. And that was my motivation for creating this series. I asked myself, if there aren't more hunters and fishermen and we don't change the model, then where's the money going to come from? And I went back to the original question, which was, what's the disconnect? If there are more and more people who are wanting to hunt and yet fewer and fewer people actually doing it, where are we missing that mark? I searched and I couldn't find it until I asked myself a different but related question, which was, if I was just getting started hunting deer in 2019, where would I look for information? And so I just started looking. And there is a ton of information out there. We live in an amazing time. That can be great, but it can also be problematic because it's really difficult to know who to trust. And there's so many dissenting opinions out there on everything, and believe me, hunting is no exception. Everybody has an opinion, and now that everybody essentially has a megaphone, it gets very difficult to sift through all the noise and find what's real. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some great resources out there and some experts that I actually refer to myself. In fact, we'll cite some of them throughout the series. The problem is there just isn't a lot of information out there that's specifically geared towards the true beginner. Either the person who has only gone out and hunted a few times with limited success or no success, and especially the aspiring hunter, the person who's never even gone out in the woods, doesn't know where to start. And that's where Whitetail 101 comes in. Look, just about any combination of words that you can think of to type into YouTube, you can find a how-to video on there on how to do it. The issue is the information is all really disjointed. There might be one channel that does a couple of very specific targeted videos of how to do X, Y, and Z, or maybe a couple of blog posts on what it takes to start deer hunting. All of the above tend to be guilty of just hammering you with affiliate links and promo codes. Okay, here's what you need to start deer hunting. Go get yourself a set of camouflage. You need a gun, so here's a affiliate link to Roy's gun shop. You need this scent lure, or the bucks are never gonna come, so here's an Amazon link. The oversimplifications are so blatant, it's actually offensive. We'll start assuming you know nothing, that you've never even gone camping before. You don't even know what an appropriate pair of boots looks like. We'll use language you can understand, but we'll also introduce you to some terms along the way so that you can sort of speak the lingo and immerse yourself in the culture a little bit. Each lesson will introduce you to not only some new terms and some new information, but it'll build on what you learned previously and reinforce it a little bit. So we'll revisit some concepts, but at the end of each episode, you'll typically have one or two, we'll call them to-do items, so that you can see and measure your progress in a meaningful way as you get closer and closer to actually entering the woods for the first time. We'll get in depth at times, but I would say that this series is about 60% how and 40% why. The idea is to build just enough knowledge for you, after all it is a 101 course, so that you have a base level understanding of what it is you're doing and a little bit of why, so that you can use that information to continue your growth process as well as develop your own strategies throughout the course of this year and years to follow without having to make deer hunting like a second full-time job. The full Whitetail 101 guide is more than 30 video lessons, but they all average around 15 minutes long. Some a little shorter, some a little bit longer. But the idea is, if you can watch one video every day or two, you can make real progress each day towards becoming a safe and ethical hunter. We understand that different people have different interests, and so we want to offer you the opportunity to research more and spend more time on the things that interest you without necessarily having to take up hours of time just talking about details and minutia on every little thing. So for that reason, from time to time, you may notice that we sort of glaze over some stuff. That's mostly intentional. In each lesson, we'll even leave you with a couple of external links for resources that we trust who are experts on that particular topic. So that if you do want to spend a little extra time, for instance, learning about deer calling, by the time you've reached our deer calling video, we will have taught you a bit about deer behavior and biology, as well as instructed you on the types of calls that you might want to go and purchase. So by that point, you should have a fairly good grasp of not only techniques for calling, but also knowing when a good time in the season, or based on how a deer is behaving and acting, what might be the appropriate call at that time. Look, I know there's a ton of information out there. It's difficult to know who to trust, where to start, and what to focus on. Whitetail 101 directly answers all those and a lot more. Without a mentor, the road to your first whitetail can be tricky. It can get really long and needlessly expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Let Whitetail 101 be the guide. Grab a pen and a piece of paper, take some notes, and let's go hunting.